Geez, Andile. Welcome to the family table.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, good to have you here.
Don't leave me hanging.
Oh, thank you, sister.
So I was saying what I'm going to talk to you about, and I did say, please don't take over the interview, and I'll say it again, because chances are you're going to ask us about the balance sheet and stuff. But then let's do that.
Oh, wow.
If we were to ask you to invest in the family table, what are the 5 questions you'd ask us?
Oh, God.
Let's get the accounting stuff out of the way, then we get into talking about
He's
you.
the bean counter in him, right?
Who says I want to talk about the balance sheet?
You're the guru of all things entrepreneurship in
Yes.
South Africa right
So
now.
this is a small business. It's a startup. We want to grow. What would you ask us?
So what's the market opportunity?
The market. Well, actually, we're not answering. Just give us 5 questions. Because now I'm going to get into pitching.
So I'm going to
Yes.
ask questions, but no answers.
No, just give us 5. What are the 5 things that you'd want? If we came to you and say,
Yeah.
Andile, we want you to invest in the family
Right,
table.
right.
We're not going to answer because we might just give
We are
away 20
actually
seconds.
starting with accounting, but this is what we're doing.
Let's
So
just do
we're
it.
going to drink wine and
Fine.
talk family things.
Okay, yeah, let me
we
pour the
will.
wine. While I'm pouring the wine,
Yeah,
5
maybe.
questions.
Okay, 5 questions,
Yeah.
right? So I would probably start with, what's the market opportunity, right? So if indeed we blow the lights out, is there a big enough market to be worth all the trouble?
Question number 1.
Yeah.
Right? So you know what that means. So I don't have to explain what that means. And then, of course, to the extent that there is a market, this one?
Yep.
To the extent that there is a market, what is it that's so unique about us that makes us believe that we'll be able to access the market? People will stop buying whatever it is they're buying and buy us.
Yep.
People will move their money from other options and buy us. That's probably number 2.
Sure.
And then 3, the jockeys. I want to know who's behind it, what have they done before, what
Yeah.
makes them so great at doing the family table. But I think
Yeah.
that question is answered.
Okay.
5, I'd probably
So
want
that's
to
4.
know.
You've
Oh,
given us
4.
3.
I've already.
Questions,
Okay,
yeah.
4. I'd probably go with forecasts. So
Okay.
if you had to realistically forecast this business, especially if it's a startup,
Yes.
what does that forecast look like? Because that's going to give me a fair sense of the burn rate.
Okay.
Because generally with startups, you're going to lose a lot of money up front.
Yes.
But you do that because you truly believe that the answer to number 1, number 2, and number 3 is good enough that you'll make the money back.
Okay.
Right? But you still want to know how deep the hole will be.
Yes.
Otherwise, then
Sure.
you may not be able to afford the hole yourself.
Yes.
Which means you might have to syndicate to get other people in.
Sure.
So I'm interested in the forecast, and I know all forecasts from all entrepreneurs are like that.
Of course.
Of course, we believe in our businesses. We believe we're going to make money.
And everyone makes money after year 2.
Yes.
Yes, I know, because year 1 is like too soon.
Yes.
Andile's gonna think we're not
We're not
thinking
being
this through.
realistic. Yes.
And year 3 is too far. So everyone chooses year 2.
So
Don't ask me why.
over optimistic.
Yeah, that's like the midpoint. Everyone goes with that, right? And then lastly, it'll probably be kind of linked to number 3, the passion. Why? What's the love about this thing? When times go bad and things are tough? What's
And Andile is calling to say, where my money at?
am I gonna get people that are gonna be like, I don't have to call even, let alone I'm calling. Yeah. They'll be preempting my call. They'll be
Like,
like,
it's Andile.
don't worry, boss, be on it.
Yes.
Because business, unfortunately, the
Yeah.
nature of it
Yeah.
is that things go wrong. And if you don't have the drive, if you don't have the passion, if you don't have the love, if you don't have anything else other than money
Yes.
driving you to pursue that particular business,
Yes.
then it really gets difficult for you to kind of self-start when times are difficult.
Sure.
So I'd be interested in the outside of the numbers,
Yes.
in the heart of it, like why are we doing this?
That's an
Who loves
interesting
it?
point you mentioned, and I'm keen to find out how you evaluate that when you interact with entrepreneurs, right? Because it's one thing to have proof of concept on a paper, maybe
Yeah.
express your passion
Yeah.
within a pitch, but the sustainability of it when things don't go right, how do you evaluate that, I guess, that passion from
And
entrepreneurs?
Google, it's hard because it often comes in two forms. Too much passion, too little passion. Right? So much passion, so much love, he doesn't go through the numbers. Like he just wants to do it because he thinks it's a cool thing
Just
to do.
believe in it.
Yeah.
I believe, I want it.
Yes.
Like I'm gonna do this. It's my
Yeah.
passion, so much of it. Okay, do we make money here, bro? No, oh well, see that. So, and you often find the creative industries are like that. Okay, we'll get to that, I'm sure. And then the other side of the pendulum is, I just see money. I see an opportunity. We're gonna go in, cut throats. We're gonna make the money. We're gonna get out.
Gogo, is he trying to get at us here?
You
Because the
know?
creative industries, he looked at me, and then the money looked at you. Like,
I mean, but that's also
so it's a a good balance, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm at the two extremes. And the other guy with the money is all about the money. He's got no love for this thing. In his world, this thing will always work out.
Yes.
He'll never need to dig into anything other than the fact that he's motivated by the money. The downside is when the money doesn't come, he's telling you about the next idea tomorrow. You know those guys? You're like, but what happened to the last idea?
Butterfly
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah. But there's now a new thing now. Now we're not selling wine, we're selling water. How? So
When did that happen?
because in you only.
Right, yeah.
So you kind of need a healthy mix.
Yeah.
You need somebody that's passionate about something, but can really see the numbers.
Right.
Because if it's too extremes, it's hard. But to answer your question, how do you know? You don't until you meet the person. One of my favorite sports, even though I suck at it right now, is golf.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
And nothing reveals an individual's truth than playing a bad golf game. It's an honesty game. So if your ball
Yes.
goes to the bush and you hit it 5 times, you need to come out and say, I hit it 5 times. No one saw you. You could come back and say you did 2 times. No one would know any better. So if you cheat at golf, you get overly frustrated, you break your clubs, all that kind of stuff. But after a good 4.5 hours in a golf course, you have a fair sense of the person.
So it's interesting that you speak about golf, right?
Yeah.
And how it brings
Are we
out
going to drink
character.
anytime?
Yeah, I've started.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for being
No
here.
worries.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Always drink.
Yes. The creative and the money lady. It's a great balance.
Drink. Otherwise, 9 years of bad sex.
Oh, is that right? Oh.
I've never heard that one, Bonga.
I promise you.
I know the broken mirror.
I thought it was a broken mirror too.
No, it's
The
happening.
creatives, they come up with stuff. Now it's the
Man,
not
so you get a drink. Anyway, I was going back to the reason why I've got the family table. You asked us before. You're like, why am I here?
That is not what I said, for the
it's-
record. It is not what I said, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the business, the things that happen behind the business.
Yeah.
So you've spoken about how if we were on a golf course and we're playing golf, you would not only we'll be just discussing the investment part,
Yeah.
but you'd also be looking at us as personalities.
Absolutely.
And give us the worst and best situations you found yourself in terms of partnerships. And what were the lessons? You'll be like, Ish Bongani, I saw it that day we played golf.
Yeah.
I should have known.
There was a red flag.
And then there's Gogo. I didn't think she had it in her, but look where we are.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
When have you missed?
Many times. Many times. And you know, as an entrepreneur, you need to learn the art of forgiving yourself. You need to learn to be kind to yourself because you will miss invariably a lot of things. So indeed, I mean, partnerships are great, but they are very hard. My own view is that they have a terminal value,
Okay.
at least in their current form. So you may
Yes.
still remain partners on paper and to the public, but you often find that partnerships are not quite what they used to be when you started out to what they can be later on.
Sounds like you're describing marriage there, Buddha.
Well, it's a partnership too, right?
Yes, yeah.
Right? Like you love your wife or your husband
But you grow
differently
involved.
when you be married 30 years than when you did when you were married 1 year.
And
It's a different love.
And taking that analogy is when kids come and when kids grow
Yeah.
and when kids leave
Yeah.
and when you're having other challenges.
It's all different. So to answer your question, how do you, what kind of experiences I've kind of had? I've had great partners who, at the time we were partners,
Yeah.
it was brilliant. We fed off each other.
Yes.
The yin and the yang was real. And friendships developed. And I've been very lucky that I've never been into business with friends. I've always been into business with business partners who became friends.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Does that make a difference though?
I think so, but of course I've only got one side of the experience, right? So I think it does because the business never gets messed up by the friendship. Because it's business.
Yeah.
I can't now have a situation where Bongani starts misbehaving because it's my brother. I've got a thing to say, just let's understand what us together
It's business.
is this business opportunity I provide.
Straight
The
Yes.
fact that we are now mates is great,
Yeah.
but let's not let the friendship mess up with the business.
Because the reason why we met.
It's business. So I've been very fortunate that I've never really had to deal with a situation where I'm trying to save a friendship for business. Because most of my partnerships have always been driven by business. In fact, till this very day.
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Well, all, it makes it easier,
Yes.
right? But there's also been times to come back to your point where you just miss it, man. Where you see somebody, you meet them, and you kind of fall in love, right? You're like, oh wow, he or she is amazing, and you don't really pay attention to the things you ought to be paying attention to, because now you're doing the due diligence in a way.
Yeah.
You fall in love. And what does love do? It covers a multitude of sin. The Bible says that, right? So it covers all the sins. You don't see anything else because you're so romantically involved. Oh, Google's amazing. Oh, she's great. Look how wow. Oh, she speaks. Oh, she's wonderful. I'm gonna partner with. Meantime, guys, no guys, the guys umbona kuphi sengenile kwi-partnership mana kithi uthi we ngaziyala bengenzani ngaze ngayisola but
Are you telling me something? Look,
No.
it's an example.
It's an example.
All right.
maybe I could be
I was
talking
worried.
about
I was about to double some wine.
maybe I could be talking about Bongani.
Yeah, I know.
I fell in love. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how this relationship is going right now. Yeah, look, we'll see.
Yeah.
Our relationship is a little bit patchy at the moment, but the love is still there.
What before Gogo asks, what are the things that Andile works on every day that, maybe one, because we don't want you to reveal all your weaknesses. Because,
Wow.
and I'll tell you why. Everybody, when you look at Andile Khumalo tweeting about Liverpool, tweeting about entrepreneurship, everybody's like, I want to be Andile Khumalo. He's got the perfect life.
Yeah.
No, trust me, it's what we see, right? Because the socials, we don't say, I've got my business partners will tell you, my partners will tell you, I've got this thing where we're in conversation, suddenly I just switch off.
Yeah.
And we call it ADHD.
Yeah.
It's a problem because sometimes I'm in a meeting and I just stop listening and it's terrible, and I get in and I try to focus.
I can't imagine what Karabo looks like in those moments.
Dude, he sometimes says, oh, you actually listen. Because I do frustrate him, right? So that's the thing. So what is Andile's thing that he works on? And it's that thing there, you'll be like, I'm going into this meeting, or I'm going into this conversation, or I'm sitting at my laptop and I need to read. I mean, you sit on boards and you're reading board papers, and what is it? What is your blind spot?
My blind spot. That technically means that I have to be blind to it, right? Like I shouldn't know about it.
Well,
Technically, but you should have identified it to work on that.
and it's not
you're getting technical. All right, what's your bad spot? What's your bad spot?
What's your weakness?
What's your weakness?
Oh.
What's something that you work on?
What's the thing you forgive
Guys,
yourself?
English is not our first language. What is that?
You said you need to forgive yourself as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Yes.
right?
What's the thing that you forgive yourself for?
I'll tell you openly and honestly what I struggle with. I first struggle with switching off.
Really? Okay, but I can understand that because he's a very energetic person.
I'm always
Or an
on.
extrovert.
And that's not good for your mental state of mind.
Sure.
You need to go to the main switch. You know, you can switch off the lights in the house. Net DSTV, night TV, and then there's still at one night. Sometimes in your life, you need to go to the main switch, or the boxes.
Yes.
So that Muhamba, in case you're tempted to put on the lights, I'll kind.
I
get tempted.
I would like to ask Mandy about this.
Right?
I'm sure she'll be like, where is it?
I'm totally bad at that. I mean, so bad that thankfully I have a loving wife who's understood even my habits on holiday.
Yes.
If we go away for 7 days, I will totally switch off for 3-4 max, where I can actually just relax. By day 3, chief, the brain is running. I'm sitting there with a notebook, writing things.
3-4 max.
Yeah.
As an accountant, it didn't count properly because 3-4 max by day 3. So he switches off for 2 days.
Yeah. And I push 3. And I push. And that's when I get the look. Like, what's happening? Why is the iPad out?
But we're here for 7
I'm
days.
connecting now to the Wi-Fi at the resort,
And now you...
Yeah, it was supposed to be for social media, but now I'm checking Bongani's message. I'm talking to
Following
Musa.
our pages.
Yes.
Yeah, no, now he's WhatsApping me. Oh, you online? You know that thing about... Now I'm engaged. The next thing, 2 hours, you're there.
Yeah.
So I struggle with that.
Sure.
And I've had to learn to just discipline myself. And to forgive myself. So I do my 3 days. But if there's something really bothering me, I'll stay away from the electronics because that for me becomes a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but once the phone is in your hand, it's the Twitter, it's the Instagram,
Then
it's
it's
the
email.
WhatsApp, it's all the WhatsApps. Then you
Yes.
respond to this one, then he responds, then the other one responds, and you remember to send so on. Next thing is 2 hours you're on the phone.
And I think the crazy
Happens to me all
thing,
the time.
the crazy thing about that is you opening up yourself to the world, right? So, because I'm seeing you're online,
Yeah.
and I don't know, well, I know you're on holiday,
But still,
but then
if I'm online,
I'm like, Eta, once you say hola, it's done.
Yeah, because people test your boundaries, right? But you mentioned something so important. Bongani has been very, very vocal about his journey when it comes to mental wellness, right? And going through depression.
Yeah.
Has it ever led to a state of burnout for you and going through, I guess, a
I
dark
definitely
phase?
did. I definitely did. It was 2018, and actually it led to me starting our family investment office and exiting MSG. I was 40. My son was 11. My daughter was 7.
Okay.
And I just looked at my life. I looked at the amount of hours. I looked at the day-to-day stress, the month-to-month stress.
Wow.
And I just looked at my environment and I went, I've been doing this for 11 years now. And it's been good. But like, the next chapter of my life, what do I want to do? Is this what I want to do? And I couldn't get myself to stay motivated about what I wanted to do.
How
But
did
you're
you?
Andile Khumalo
Exactly.
on Power FM, MSG.
I hated it.
You the black guys.
I hated it.
You the poster.
And that's
Dude.
the point. These are all human beings still.
Sheesh.
I remember the day I told Given. I even remember where we were in our office. In the
This
house.
we want to hear, yeah?
Yeah, and I went to him and I said to him, I said, Dog, I'm not alright, eh? I think I need a change in life. I think I know exactly what I want to do, but this is not it.
No.
And he said to me, thank God you finally came to tell me. I said, what do you mean? He says, I've been looking at you moping around the office for the past few months. I'm like, are you for real? He says, dude, you're not the same. I can see that you're yearning for something different. So that was 2017 December.
He didn't say, I want to say,
No,
go back to your desk. Go back to your desk.
Get
Where's
your-
the mic? Where's the mic?
Right? Get him on it, he'll feel better.
But that's quite honorable, of a partner.
Well, you see, again, partners have become friends.
Yes.
So you start caring for somebody because they're a part of you every day.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, when you're a partner, you're a real partner. Even if you're not going to go to work that day, you're going to have to tell your partner.
Yes.
To work for yourself, you can do whatever the hell you want, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, cut a long story short, I just felt that for the things I want in life, my family ranks number one. And selfishly so. Selfishly so. Not because of them,
Really?
because of me. Let me explain what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
they don't rank number one because I'm a nice guy, I'm a great husband or
And there's
father, and
expectations.
I want to give to them. It's what I want, what I get out of it. The enjoyment I get, the fulfillment I get by spending time with my daughter, my son, my wife, together or apart. I enjoy it. And I just wanted more of that. Even if I'm working but I'm there, I'm around.
Yes.
You know, COVID-19 is horrible. But the one thing it's given me is the opportunity to even perfect that in a way. I drop off my kids every morning. If I'm not traveling, every morning I drop off my children. I don't do meetings that mess with my children's drop-offs.
Yes.
That's important for me because we drive to school together. We talk about whatever's happening.
I was about to ask, clearly that means that you must have lunches and dinners at your family table. I know your
Yeah.
children are avid
Yeah.
cooks and they
Yeah.
participate. What are the conversations that take place at the Khumalo household family table?
First of all, they're scary, Google.
Why?
Because these kids are so much smarter than when I was a kid. There's words that they use, and I go, how do you even know that word? One day you ate. And she'd be like, yeah, I read it somewhere. So the conversations are scary. They very I keep worrying about the next 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of what I observe now. But the conversations are about friendships, they're about family, they're about games, they're about the next gadget. My son's latest conversations are about fantasy football.
Oh, really?
He's a big football man. Thank God I convinced him to be a Liverpool fan. I would be dead.
Let's
What
talk
if he
Arsenal,
loved Man
please.
United or something? Or Arsenal! Even worse!
You know my son. I remember my 15-year-old. A friend of mine went to the UK. No, it was his aunt actually. And she said, "What should I buy for him?" And that time he was 4. I said, "Get him and get us Arsenal kit." He had the shorts, the socks, and he had his name on the back and all that. The guy supports Man U. So maybe I'm a big father.
You have failed as a father if your son does not support your club.
I think I have.
What's wrong life?
I think I have.
No, you haven't. It's okay to accept it.
Coming
I
from a
forgive
family-
myself.
Yes,
Yeah,
forgive
forgive
yourself.
yourself.
Back to the Khumalo family table.
Yes.
Fantasy football, what else?
So fantasy football for my
Because
son.
I-
Lots of football for my son.
Yeah.
My daughter is the more exploratory one. So she wants to determine where we're going on holiday. She wants to determine where we should be going for lunch today.
That's important.
She's the one who says, friend of mine wants to come and visit. She's very homely. She's very family oriented. My son is the keeps himself a lot, but extremely intelligent and very. My son is the empathy guy in the family.
Really?
Yeah, he feels everybody. He'll walk into a room and just like hug someone.
Has that made a difference in your life though?
Yeah, because I see the empathy. Like he's got a moment to pause and recognize if someone's not okay. And like he makes me pause because I see it happen. Even in his class, he'll tell me stories about he's got a friend and the friend's mom and dad are going through stuff, and the friend came to talk to him.
Wow.
And he's asking me, what do you think I should say to my friend? And I'm like, you're 14 years old. What a thing to carry.
Right?
Yeah, but to him, this is an important thing. His friend came to him and told him all the things he's going through. He cried and they talked about it. And he wants to know from his dad, how does he handle that?
Yeah.
That's so they build me, man. I learn a lot more from my kids than I think they learn from me.
I think it makes sense how you say that you gain more from being around them and the experience with them versus the other way. But of course, as you say, you've managed to build quite I think a lot of people will watch this and potentially envy you because it's just like, how perfect,
But
how ideal.
But you need to be present for it, Gugu. And let me be honest, again, I repeat the point. It's a very selfish act by me. Because it's what's in it for me. I do it because I get so much value from it. I don't do it because I feel like it's my burden or my responsibility in being God,
Yes.
so therefore I must be there at lunch on a Sunday. I want to be there at lunch on the Sunday because I derive value from being there at lunch on the Sunday. Am I making sense?
What I wanted to double.
And it makes a huge difference in
What I wanted
comparison to the guys at the car wash on the side. But hey,
Sometimes I want to be at the couch on the Sunday, right?
Well, let me double click on the Khumalo family table.
Yeah.
We are mostly made by our pasts.
Yeah.
So double down to Andile, the 7-year-old at the Khumalo table
Yeah.
at home.
Mlas.
Emlas. Are they things that were done at that family table which you're able to share that have made you be this selfish, I need this is for me?
I feel like I'm in therapy because my therapist likes to tell you to close your eyes and it takes you back to a point in your life and then images come.
I
So
can,
as you're asking the question, images are coming.
I can imagine, Andile, you, the way you're energetic,
Yeah.
sit down, eat your food. You probably come in, have a drumstick, ma, is it fine? I've eaten my food, I'm
If
out.
I had my baby pictures, I'd show you me and my 7-year-old. I was the shyest kid.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. I sometimes see that in my son.
I never would have watched it.
Yeah, well, the image that comes to mind when you talk about the family table, the Khumalo family table, is my grandfather. We are at section B1116. That was our address. Umlazi, 4-room house, obviously, and not 4 bedrooms, just in case people think, no, it was 4 rooms.
4-room.
And in the kitchen, we have a pine table made of pine wood.
Yes.
Those 1-unit things where there's a bench on either side and a table in between. He's sitting facing me, and I'm sitting on the other side of the bench. To his right is the stove and the sink and everything, which are obviously to my left, and I can see him. He's doing his schoolwork because he's a principal at the local high school. But there's tons of newspapers that he's just finished ripped through. My grandfather bought every newspaper every day, 4 or 5 at a time. The Daily News, the Tel Mercury, Ilanga, all of them. And I would sit, before I go to bed, after homework, I would sit and I would read those newspapers with him. And people go to sleep, it'll be him and I.
Wow.
And I'll ask him what he's doing, he'll tell me, he'll show me, I'm marking this. I'm like, oh, cool, can I help you mark? He's like, yeah, here are the answers. Just don't use a pen, use a pencil. Tell me what was right or wrong, and then you'll So that's the first thing that comes to mind is that image. And I would read the book. I wouldn't know what I was reading, but he would make me read stuff. And he'd even say like, oh, I read this really interesting article. You might want to read this. And I read the article, and I was a big Chiefs fan. So the back page was my starting point. You know, and in those days, I mean, I was 7 years old. You know, all the big players, the teenage highlights.
Yes.
Yeah, so like, I was very interested in that type of stuff. So it's probably sitting with my grandfather is probably the fondest memory.
Nice.
And we would do stuff, man. Things that like, and he was a very different person to everybody else in the home. He was Mr. Strict. To me, we were like friends.
Were you the last one?
I'm his eldest grandson.
Son.
So I'm the eldest of the grandchildren.
Yes, okay.
So that was always clearly special.
What I'm hearing here as well, Andile, is I guess the role of the black male figure in a family household and the importance that they serve. You speak so lovingly about your grandfather, you speak so lovingly about your son, and that also speaks about the relationship that you have, I guess, cultivated for your own family, right? As being the male figure and head of the household. Is that something that the South African community and society is perhaps not managing well?
I think there's a lot of empathy missing for black men, especially fathers and heads of households. I do, bro. I do, and I think we're almost in a society where it's not fashionable, right? To recognize the struggles of those who are seen to be
Yes.
in an advantageous or privileged position, because I guess the injustice of those who suffer prejudice is so pronounced and it's so deep.
Yeah.
Right?
So the assumption is you have it easy, you're a man.
And I don't think society is saying that, they're just not paying attention to your struggles too.
Yeah.
So because the struggles, particularly of women, are just they hurt so deeply.
It's
The
that
violence, the emotional, the everything that women around the world, particularly black women, I mean, I think if you're going to talk about somebody who just goes through a difficult time, I look at my own mother when she talks about her upbringing, and the things she went through, and I listen to my friends that are women now. Being a black woman is really hard. So, and I know why that attention is there, for obvious reasons, because it's really difficult. Just from me as a man, and I'm seeing this much, I'm sure. So, but what that does is that it doesn't really provide enough room to talk about some of the challenges, for example, men go through. And I actually think we are so ill prepared as men for some of the challenges we go through. It is also a contributing factor why we ill-treat women.
It's
not the reason.
It's not the reason.
It definitely contributes. Because we ourselves are not emotionally mature to manage our own challenges and our own struggles.
Sure.
We feel unseen. We feel like we live in a world where we are just like no one cares. We underpaid, overworked, not respected, blah, blah. So what do? Wrongly, we look for the next person to spill that out on.
So I was saying it's dealing with the root of the problem, dealing with the fruit of the problem instead of the root, which is what
I always say that.
says.
I think fundamentally,
We're not okay.
we're not okay because everybody thinks you need to be fine, and
we can't be not okay.
because everybody. I mean, when
We can only be okay.
when you come home, it's very difficult to even say, "Hey, you know that deal I was going to come through, it ain't coming through," because the expectation has been set, and
oftentimes it's not because the expectation has been actually set. Our
Expectations
our
of
view
yourself.
of the world is that the expectation has been set.
So even when you
So
are
then, like,
even
maybe the wife isn't as stressed as you think, but Kutina, for our own egos and our own situations, Kutina, I'm a failure. I let my family down. I'm supposed to be providing.
sure.
How dare I screw up a deal? It had nothing to do with you. You screw up anyway.
Because when you're at the car wash, when Andile and I, because what we do is discuss Liverpool, Arsenal. We don't discuss the deep things. We're saying, dude, are you okay? I don't want to get into the brands and stuff, but I remember when there's a certain CEO, people are going to know, a lady left one of the big brands.
Yes.
And I remember ladies speaking and they're like, you black men have now become the oppressor.
I've heard that too. And experienced it, but that's for a whole nother episode.
Right? Like you now, because, and I always use my example of mountain biking, because I can get into a boardroom, I'm like, hey, Jan, dude, are you doing the Cape Epic, bro?
Yeah.
You know, immediately
Connection.
there's a connection. But when you walk in,
You may not have that.
you might not have that. You know, I can talk about Sia Kolisi and New Zealand this week, you know, and even when you talk about it, you might know rugby very well, and it'll be like she's trying too hard. What?
But
Like,
isn't it okay? Is it not okay? But isn't it true that in all of our respective spaces, we have positions of privilege?
I think we do.
True.
I certainly recognize it. The question is not whether or not you have it. And sometimes it's not even because of your efforts. Just because you're black, or you're a man, or you're white, or you're a woman. Some spaces I walk in as a man, it's not my place. It's a place where Google has got a leverage and a privilege. If I need access, are we using our privilege to support those that don't have the access? That's the real question. And it's not the privilege for me. Because you'll never beat inequality out here. It's a global phenomenon. We are not equal.
There'll always be a level, right?
Yeah, guess fine, Baba. No, the real question is that if you need something from me and I'm in a position to help you access it, do I do that? It's not about the fact that I'm in a position and you are not.
Yeah.
Because it's a fact of life. We're all going to be in positions where we're privileged. Privilege for me, we all have it.
Sure.
I'm looking at the time. What are you doing? Like now you're starting a sermon and we've got like 7
It's a
minutes.
very important one, because I also think it probably ties back to the entrepreneurship circle, or even what we're starting right now. We come from very different backgrounds. We know each other from different circles.
Yes.
But how is it that we've perhaps used our privilege to help someone else step up? Do you think that that's lacking, specifically when it comes to black entrepreneurs in South Africa?
Definitely, we're not doing it enough, Guru. I'm not going to lie. We're just not doing it enough. And oftentimes, we have a jaundiced view about what that access means. You know, so we start thinking it means money, or it means a lot of time. I mean, I remember the times you and I would bump into each other and you just talk about your dreams and aspirations. And we just talk about it. I remember it distinctly. You always say to me, "But Andile, give me some time, I want to talk about this," and we'll talk, and you just talk. I didn't call anybody and say, "Oh, won't you please give cook?" I didn't do any of that. But I know for a fact that just having somebody to share your dreams and aspirations with,
It's a start.
it just gives you a different kind of
And
energy.
align your thoughts.
And aligns your thoughts. And hopefully it gives you the encouragement to go, well, Mkhambe, even people I meet and bump into that perhaps I look up to, if they think I got something going, I know I got something going. But if they think so, maybe the next person would too.
Exactly.
And that gives you the license to shine.
And
that allows you to be great.
And I think
So it's not money, it's not a lot of time.
the important part to add to that conversation that you guys just had is not being judged. That you're being too unrealistic. You know, before we came on set, we were telling you our dream and what we want to do with this thing. And there was no point. I mean, you were my chair for the Brave Group where we are now, and I had this angst to say, he's probably gonna think, this guy is crazy, because you.
But you are crazy.
Okay, I am.
But I'm quite crazy.
Yeah. And I think for me it's that. It's just, no guys, have you looked out for this? Have you looked out for this? For that partnership, make sure, sign this. So it's more around being supportive than saying,
bro.
but why you been recording at the Brave Group? Why you, because, and I think sometimes there's Andile Khumalos who want to be the Andile Khumalo in the room. Because how dare anybody else tries? And I think we suffer from that.
Absolutely.
Because I always say, when you go back home, and many of us, many black people, you probably are either the only one or one of two in a family that's doing very well.
Yeah.
You really great.
And even that cultivates competition within family itself, which is
Usually a whole family table.
Which stimulates ambition, but it creates competition.
Exactly.
So you don't. I think for me, the not judging is a very critical step.
And you know, Bongani, I repeat, you should do it for your own selfish gain. I gain a lot from that conversation you just referred to. When you and Google tell me about the family table, what you plan to do, what's the dreams and aspiration. I gain because I'm able to take some experiences, not all, I'm not smarter. I may just have seen a couple of things that you may not have seen. Or you may have seen things that I may not have seen. Just to share. And one day the thing is great. I enjoy it. So don't do it because you feel like you're giving, because that's the problem. People feel like they're losing. And that's the same thing, back to the whole family time Sunday thing.
Yeah.
Men feel like they're giving. Oh, I must be with my wife. Oh, I must be with... You're not giving away. You're gaining. So
I don't have a visa to
exactly. when a young entrepreneur asks for time,
Sure.
and you say, I'll give you the time. And you hear their story, you can see, Shem, he hasn't really thought this thing. That time you give them, you're gaining because you get the opportunity to feel really good from being able to help somebody. So do it for the selfish reason of making yourself feel great. Then we'll all do it. But the minute we pitch this thing as stop your amazing life and take a moment to listen to my crappy life so you can give something to me, then it's not as appetizing.
Okay, we've got 4 minutes left. I think we're going to you coming back. I think there's an opportunity with I'm Entrepreneur and the family table having small business discussions.
That's good.
I think.
And men and everything.
I think there's you're going to be a guest quite a lot.
Maybe a partner.
You never know.
Let's
see. You see, we're being nice kids.
All right, in 4 minutes,
Yes.
again, 5.
Why 5? Can we make it 3?
Okay, 3.
Yeah.
3.
It's so hard.
No, 3.
Yes,
Okay,
that's why I like 3.
it's not
better
5
than
questions. It's not 5 questions. Okay, it's 3. We are at the family table.
Yeah.
We want to have a bigger conversation with food.
Yeah.
And we're asking you,
Please.
who are the other 3 people you can bring to the table and why?
Are they South African? Are they international?
It-
Can I
it-
dream
it-
wild?
it does-
Can I have some
you-
boundaries? I'm not. I
No.
told you guys, I can't switch off. Give me boundaries.
Okay,
South African or alive? They're alive.
African.
Let them be alive, please.
Alive.
Alive, Pan-African.
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 Yes.
Alive Pan-African.
2 women, 1 male.
2 women.
To balance it
1
out.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Pan-African. Okay, so
Black.
Black. You know, there's white
Our
Africans, you know. Anyway, okay. So I'm gonna make them all South African.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm gonna make them all South African. And I'm gonna the one guy I'm gonna have is DJ Black Coffee. Andile Khumalo.
Wow.
For all sorts of reasons, including the challenges of managing a public life, a good personal and business private life, a bad personal and business private life, or should I say challenging one.
Okay.
I think there's lessons to learn there, outside of the noise.
All right.
Like to your point, things we never really talk about as men.
Yeah.
So he'd be in the room.
All right. We're done
Man,
with the men.
Yeah, the woman, she's just passed on. So I'm gonna ask for reprieve in having her, even though she's late. And that's Dr. Tandindlo.
Yes, Dr. T.
Dr. Tandindlo, who started a company called Material Construction, but for me, probably my closest friends of women who are much older than me. Astute businesswoman, always had time for me. In fact, she passed away the weekend after she had spoken at I'm an Entrepreneur in East London.
Oh,
And the next morning when we were all flying back to Joburg, I met her on the airplane and we chit-chatted and I didn't know it was the last time I'd see her. But for me, just someone who started as a medical doctor, the heart of apartheid. In fact, she was in Mkhonto Sizwe.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a veteran.
Tough.
Carries
Yeah, I started
She's
a
to pack.
practice in Orange River, and basically when you do business, highly inspirational, taught me so many life lessons. So, Dr. T
Okay.
would be my second guest as a woman. My third guest at the family table would be my grandmother, Grace Khumalo. She is rock hard, solid leader of the family. My grandfather was a disciplinarian, Mr. Strict. She was the hugger. She kept it together, kept it warm. Became my de facto mother because my mom had me when she was 20 and she was still at college.
Yes.
And I had to live with my grandparents.
Ah.
So in my formative years, my mother was my grandmother.
Ah.
Till this day, I don't call her Koko, I call her Ma. So I call Mama and I call my grandmother Ma. You know, and she'd be there because she's got a crazy brain. You know, my grandmother is well into her 80s. She doesn't wear glasses. She watches cricket, favorite sport.
Wow.
Well,
She hates England, loves the West Indies. You know, she has these queer things that are so un-black, grandmother.
and considering the times you grew up,
And she's got the
Right.
stories, and just the transition of her life story into the world we live in now, where she sees her great-grandchildren become what we all are, and the world she lived in when she started teaching in the 60s is just unbelievable. So she'll be the one with the stories. She and Dr. T will get along very well.
nice.
So those will be my 3 years.
Beautiful. I'm inspired with Andile. I don't want to lie. I think it's a beautiful family table, and you've made such a fantastic contribution to this
Thank you
table.
so much.
Thank you so much for opening up yourself, your mind, and your heart, and bringing your full self to the family table.
Hey, you guys got me opening up a lot.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's what we
here.
hear. That's what we do here. Cheers.
Family.
Family.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Thanks.
And we must drink now, right?
Yes, otherwise 9 years.